What's up guys, it's DWrecked, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to build faster and stop cucking yourself or boxing yourself in with the ramps and walls. If you enjoyed these tips, make sure you like the video and subscribe to always stay around for more tips. Alright, so let's get right to this tip on how to stop cucking yourself, how to stop boxing yourself in with a ramp. We all know the issue. You're trying to take high ground on someone and you end up boxing yourself in. Then you have to reset, you have to try and take high ground again, and by that time, he's already on top of you. So the easiest way to fix this, the way to build quicker and stop cucking yourself is going to be right here. I'm going to take this low at first. So you're building up. The biggest issue that people do is they run down the middle of their ramp. And they do this, it just seems natural to try and run through the middle. It allows you the most flexibility both ways, but it's also the biggest reason why you're cucking yourself. The problem is, if we go here and I'm trying to take a turn, and I build a ramp, I'm knocking myself back down. And the reason for that is if we take a look at the ramp right here, if you position yourself in the middle of your ramp and you try to place a ramp and then jump, you're just going to knock your head on the roof there. So what you need to do is if we're trying to turn right, we're going to stay on the left side of this ramp, so that when we build here, we're on the low end. It makes it a lot easier to jump up there. And you can get pretty quick at this. You can go either way with it. If you're going to the left, you want to stay to the right. Pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm running along the side of the ramp. Then I'm placing a wall here, and then I'm jumping to place that back wall there. And in the same movement, I'm also placing a ramp. You don't have to do it exactly like this. You can just aim instead of doing that and then jump at the same time, but I feel like it saves time and uses less movements. It's more efficient if I just kind of jump for that next wall. Either way, the choice is up to you on that one. You can get a little quicker at this. Experiment. At first I want you to take this slow. I want you to build up here, come here, go slow, jump up, and then do it. And as you get quicker at it, you can do it all in one movement. So I'm doing this all in one motion. I'm coming up here, building a ramp, building my wall, and at the same time as I'm building the second wall, I'm jumping for the second wall above it, the third wall, yes, and then placing a ramp. So one movement, I'm going up, wall, jump, as I place that other wall, and then placing a ramp at the same time. As you get better at this positioning, you will be able to time your jump up a little better so that you reduce movement at the top of your jump. So the one thing I've noticed is there's a lot of downtime if you are too low on the ramp. You're floating in the air a lot, which it's microseconds really, and it's not that important. I think making sure you don't cuck yourself is going to be the biggest issue at first, but as you get more skilled at this, it's also going to be important to reduce the amount of time you're spending in the air. Just gives you that extra little movement over your opponent. You can do this with 180 turns as well. So if we come here, it's just the same movement. These are great for 90-degree turns, 180 turns, everything. One other thing I want to point out with the 180 turn is you don't always need to use this movement. It's actually a little more efficient to use the 90-90 turns. I think Tifu actually pointed that out as well. But if you're going to do a 180 turn, you can choose to do it two ways. One is you have the 180. You want to spin around real quick and then do that. And then place the back wall, place a ramp on top of it. And this is going to save you mats as opposed to coming up here and going all the way around. It's an extra wall, but at the same time it's important to try and manage your resources. But if you do decide to go up here in that movement and you place this extra wall here, you can actually scissor ramp yourself on the way up. If you just look up there, you can time it up. I'm not doing it as perfectly as I would normally at full speed, but on that 180 turn, if you have this extra wall at the base of your ramp here, then you're also able to build a scissor ramp above you, which can help in case your opponent keeps taking high ground on you. This is an issue whenever you're on the ground as well. Let's get into a better area. I'll just build this here. Let's say I'm fighting an enemy, just trying to make this flat. That seems to be when the biggest issue is. You're fighting an enemy and you have a guy right in front of you, shotgun fight. He's right here and you need cover immediately. Your wall is placed way out in front of you, which doesn't help. So what you end up doing is you look down for your wall, and the same movement, you want to place your ramp as well. A lot of times you'll be doing this, and you'll do it too quickly and box yourself in. So after you get that first wall up, you want to make sure you're in the air before you're placing the ramp. It's kind of the basics of it. You can kind of work on the intricacies of it a little more as you play, as you practice this. But that's going to be another big area where people cuck themselves in shotgun fights. Let's also talk about walls. Cucking yourself with walls, kind of boxing yourself in with them like that. This is another issue. And the biggest issue in that, I don't know what you guys are doing exactly. I can just kind of point out what the most common mistakes I see players make are. And with this one, the most common mistake is you're just building your wall too quickly. You've become a pretty quick builder, you've developed that skill set, and you're able to make a lot of these more complicated builds, a little more advanced than the basic stuff. And once you get to that point, you need to make sure that you're not playing yourself. And what I mean by that is instead of just spam building, you can do all this quick stuff, and it's great. A lot of the builds are going to be pointless, you're going to be overbuilding and box yourself in. So with the walls, the most common mistake I see people make, we'll use like the floor wall ramp rush, for example, is that people are building their wall too soon. So if you're on the ramp here and you pull the trigger, you're moving too quick for yourself, you're going to build that wall right in front of yourself instead of putting it there instead. So you just need to make her work on your timing a little bit and make sure that you're not playing too quickly for yourself. Another key thing to pay attention to is your jump stamina. You have 3 jumps in succession before you start needing a little cooldown before you can jump again. So if you're in a build battle and you're jumping all the way up here the entire way with your ramps for whatever reason, then you're going to be just pointlessly using those extra jumps and putting yourself on cooldown faster than you need to. The only time you should really be using a jump is, let's say you're in a little build battle here. Here, let me draw this up a little better. Let's say you're ramping at someone, right? And you have them in this position. It's gonna meet at this apex right here. Either one of you could take high ground. In this situation, it makes sense to jump. You want to get that extra ground a little quicker than your opponent, so you can take that high ground above him. Other than that, you kind of want to reserve your jumps for whenever you really need them. Occasionally you'll need it if you're jumping and shotgunning in a build fight, or again if you're trying to do a 180 or whatever. But other than that, you shouldn't be jumping very much throughout it, on the ground as well. Try and be a low ground warrior a lot too. Low ground warrior means you're kind of using the low ground to fight enemies instead of hopping around like mad. The less you use those jumps whenever you're building, it's going to allow you to be a little more dynamic, a little quicker when you do actually need to use those jumps. When you're doing this, go ahead, really take your time with it and make sure you're getting that muscle memory down. Spend a few days practicing in playground mode until you really make sure. It doesn't have to be a few days, but just make sure that you're able to do it slow before you speed it up. If you don't, you're going to end up boxing yourself in even more, and you're going to create a lot of bad habits. That's all I really have for this video. Just kind of a quick tip to make sure you guys are becoming a little bit better builders day by day. I got a lot of feedback on those those last tip videos. I get it. I hear you guys want a lot more, and I have a lot more in progress. If you haven't checked those videos out already, make sure you subscribe to me and check out the description for some more building and aiming tips. Thank you guys all so much for the support, by the way. 10,000 subscribers. I didn't think I was going to get 1,000 subscribers at the end of the year. So for me to hit 10,000, to get 8,000 subs in a week and reach that 10K threshold halfway through the year is just absolutely incredible to me. So thank you all so much for that. In the comments below, make sure you like the video as well. It always helps me out. In the comments though, let me know what your sensitivities are. I know a lot of you have been requesting what my sensitivity is, and I have an older video that talks about that, but I'll also make an updated one and try and talk about ways that you can find your ideal sensitivity. Anyway, thank you guys so much for all the support as always, and I'll see you next time.